Hey, in today's video, we're going to be talking about how to start an LLC and 3 different ways that you can go about it. But more important than that, we're going to be talking about terms such as piercing the corporate veil, registered agents, and commingling funds in this video. So if you're not familiar with any of those terms, don't worry about it. A lot of people aren't, but they're also really important that you understand these when you're setting up an LLC. So before we get into the 3 different ways to set up an LLC, what I want to talk about is the idea of what an LLC actually is, because some people get confused by this. Some people think that there is a tax advantage to setting up an LLC. There is not. That really comes into play if you have about $35,000 to $40,000 of net income in your business. You may want to set up with a different designation, and we'll talk about that later in this video. What an LLC does is it limits your liability. So you can kind of think of it in terms of like you have your business assets and your personal assets, and the LLC draws a division between those 2 asset classes. That division is called the corporate veil. So what that does is if you have something happen at your business, let's say you have a coffee shop and somebody burns their face in the coffee and they sue your coffee shop, they are suing your business and they're going to come after your business assets, but not your personal assets. That corporate veil protects your personal car, home, bank accounts. So that is why setting up an LLC is so important. Now, earlier in the video, we talked about piercing the corporate veil. So you can probably see where this is going, but basically the attorney that is suing your coffee shop in this hypothetical scenario, they're going to look for cracks in your LLC. So a crack might be something like you didn't file your annual report and your LLC is not within good standing with the state, or perhaps you are commingling funds. So we talked about commingling funds earlier. This one, what that is a lot of times when you get your LLC set up, you want to get a business bank account set up immediately. And the reason for that is you don't want to commingle funds. And you know what that means probably. That's basically you have your business funds and you have your personal funds. And a lot of people don't set up that business bank account right away and they run their business through their personal bank account. This is wrong for 2 reasons. One is that attorney may find that out and realize there's a crack, and then they'll be able to pierce the corporate veil. And when that happens, they'll be able to come after your personal home, car, bank account, etc. So obviously that's really bad. But also from a running your business standpoint, if on day 1 you get your business bank account set up, at the end of the year when it's tax time, all of your credits and debits, so your expenses and cash flow, are going to be in that one account. It'll be so much easier for you tax time to have everything in that one account. One of the business bank accounts that I like for that is a business called Novo Business Banking. You may be familiar with them, but I have a link for them in the description below, and I'll have links for all the resources mentioned in this video. And do know if any of them are affiliate links, I will mark them as paid links, but you still get the best possible promotion and price when you get set up. So why don't we take a look here and go on Google, and I'm searching Colorado LLC. And the reason for that is I just set up an LLC in Colorado, and I want to show you some different ways you can go about doing this. So you always want to find one here that looks like a state website. It might be .co.us like this, or it might be a .gov website. And there's pros and cons to this, and you can probably see some of the cons immediately. A lot of state websites are not well built, right? Like, frankly, they don't care if the user experience on the site is that good. So one of the biggest cons, in my opinion, of going through the state website is it's just hard to navigate. So like, if I were to click on limited liability company, and then I say, you know what, I'm interested in like what the fee is, how much does it cost to set up an LLC? You're like, I don't really know because I don't understand this language here. So if we scroll down here, you will see that the limited liability company, there's a $50 fee for the articles of organization. That is the fee that you're going to pay in the state of Colorado. That's actually on the lower side. Some states can get a little bit higher. California is the most expensive. And this is worth talking about this now because I consulted with an attorney and I said, you know, should I set up an LLC out of state or in state? And they said, you want to set up your LLC in the state that you're doing business in. So in this particular one, looking at buying rental property in Colorado, I need an LLC in Colorado. Now, sometimes you can get cute and you can set up what are called foreign LLCs. And this really becomes a disaster because like if you're trying to save some money by getting set up in like Wyoming or Delaware, you're still going to have to set up the foreign LLCs. And then if you get sued, you're creating a lot more cracks and liability in your LLC. Unless you have an incredibly complex business model, it's best to set up your LLC in the state that you're going to be doing business in. So yes, the state websites are pretty ugly and hard to navigate and get set up. But one of the other things I don't like about a lot of them is that they are hard as far as compliance. Like how do you keep your LLC compliant and making sure that there's no cracks in it? So nowhere on this site right here is there any option for me to actually log in and be able to just view information that is specific to me. So this is the advantage of going with one of the online legal tools. And probably the most popular one is LegalZoom that a lot of people are familiar with. I think the lawyer that was in the OJ trial actually is one of the faces of it. But then there's tons of them. There's like Rocket Lawyer, Zen Business, Ink File. There's so many of these different services. The one that I like the best is InkFile. So the reason for that is if you take a look at this, InkFile has an interesting pricing concept where it's actually, you can start your business and it's free plus your state fee. So let's say I was starting an LLC and again, we're going to Colorado. What you can see here is there's 3 different options here. And the one on the right here is only $50. It's a one-time payment and then it's $0 plus the state fee. So I can go through InkFile and get set up for the same cost that it would take me to go through the state website, but there are also perks. So right here, it says that there is a free registered agent service for a year. So that is pretty cool that they do that for you. So why don't we talk right now about what a registered agent is? So this article on InkFile explains it pretty well, and it's got the 5 bullet points here. So this is official letters and correspondence with Secretary of State, service of process notices. So if you need to appear in court, making sure you're showing up, official federal government correspondence information and notifications, tax forms and requests for payment, and then requests to complete permits, company filings, or reports. So this one is huge right here on the 5th one because it's important that you're staying up on your LLC and filing your annual reports when you get set up, because that's going to make sure, again, that there are no cracks in your LLC. So when you go through this process, it's up to you which package sounds the best for you. A lot of people do like the gold package here. And the reason for that is that they are going to cover a lot of things that you need to get set up, such as your EIN business tax number. And you can do that yourself through the IRS website, but it's a government website, so it's not the easiest. I'll put a link to that in the description below if you want to try that out for yourself. But this is also nice because you can also get a business tax consultation set up with this as well. So it's really up to you and what your needs are. But when you get set up with InkFile, what they'll do is you actually have a dashboard. This is really nice because in this dashboard, I have a command center now for my business. So I can view this company. And then when I open it, you can see that all this changes on the side here. And then you have different options right here. So earlier I did mention that the advantage of the state website is that there's no hidden fees or upsells, and you will find those with InkFile. Like they have to make money somehow. They're not going to make money just filing your LLC for free. So an example of this is if I click on registered agent. But this is nice because I have an official registered agent, right? I'm not worried about this being set up improperly. So again, if I'm sued and somebody's trying to pierce the corporate veil, they'll see, okay, he has a registered agent on file. Now, where there's a kind of a hidden fee here is if you scroll down this right here on the website here, you'll see right here that it's free for the first year, and then it's $119 annually after that. So if you are in here in your dashboard, basically what's going to happen is on my renewal date, I'm going to have a $119 charge for this registered agent. But again, very important service to making sure that your LLC is legit and that there are no cracks in that LLC. So probably one of the most important parts here is the compliance here. Now, all that you see right here is the annual report and when it's due. So January 31st, 2023, I have an annual report due. So what that annual report is something I have to file with the state. There is a fee associated with that, but if we click on the little info button here, you can see that it's a $10 state fee and then a $99 service fee. So it's up to you if you want to file that through InkFile or go directly through the state. That $99 fee is being handled by InkFile. You can go either way, but it is nice just to be able to file these and be able to have everything in your dashboard in your command center. I don't know about you, but I struggle with having way too many logins and trying to remember everything. So that's again why I like the InkFile route here. The third thing I want to talk about is hiring an attorney. Now, if you ask an attorney if you need to hire an attorney to set up your LLC, every single attorney is going to say, yes, you need to hire an attorney because that's how they make money. So in my non-professional opinion, and I say non-professional, I'm not a CPA or an attorney, but I have worked with a lot of businesses as a consultant, and I've also set up my own businesses, is that there are 2 main reasons. The first is if you have a business that carries a lot of natural liability with it. A good example of that would be like, let's say that you were opening up a bookstore or you were opening up a tree trimming service, right? So the tree trimming service is going to have a lot more liability. You could have somebody get injured on the job. You could drop a tree on somebody's house. There's so many different things that you have to be aware of with that. Where the bookstore, or perhaps it's like an eBay store or something like that, there's really no liability there. It's very low. Now you should set up an LLC, but I'm not going to be quite as worried about all the intricacies of it compared to that high liability business. Now, the other thing that you should consider is if your business is already making money right now. So perhaps you just kind of started the business and you did it as a DBA or you didn't even set up an entity. If you are making around $35,000 to $40,000 of net income per year, you may want to talk to an attorney. Now, the reason for that is that that's where you can start to have a different designation for your LLC and potentially save on taxes. So for me, I set up as an LLC originally to protect myself, but now I'm set up as an S Corp. So if I'm set up as an S Corp, I'm taxed fully on my payroll. So I'm actually on the payroll and I am taxed fully on that. But at the end of the year or whenever I want, actually, I can take a distribution. It's like a shareholder distribution, and that is taxed differently. So this is really helpful to know even if you're not there today. Perhaps you've never made $1 in your business. You want to be aware of these things so down the road that you can take advantage of these. So on the screen right here, I have LLC versus an S Corp. So that's going to walk you through exactly how that tax advantage works with the S Corp. And then beneath that, I have a review for the Novo Business Bank Account. And in my opinion, that is one of the best bank accounts if you like a good online experience when you're setting up your business bank account. All right, guys, again, thank you for using my links in the description below, and I'll catch you in those next videos.